Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Gene Marks. I'm really happy that you're here for a short but I think impactful conversation about Plastiq and the fintech industry and employing applications like Plastiq to help you as a business owner or business manager speed up your cash flow and better manage your cash within your business. So again, like I said before, my name is Gene Marks. I run a small business outside of Philadelphia. My company is a technology management consulting firm, but I also do a lot of writing. So I write every week for The Guardian, for The Hill, for The Washington Times, for The Philadelphia Inquirer, and then I do a couple of technology columns for Forbes as well. And I also contribute to entrepreneur.com. So I do a lot of writing about small businesses, so which is why I'm kind of moderating this conversation today. This is a conversation about it's about cash flow. It's about technology, fintech, financial technology that helps you manage your cash flow. And I've got three great panelists that are going to join me to tell us about really about Plastiq, about the fintech environment. And then I've also got one small business owner here, Grace, who's going to talk a little bit about her business and how she's using Plastiq as well. The idea here, guys, is so that you understand the types of technologies that are out there that can help you run your business and better manage your cash flow. That's what we're trying to get across here, so that you can leave this conversation saying, that is definitely something that's interesting for me, or maybe not interesting at all, but at least it's educational for you, and you'll find out and you'll see if it's of interest. So with that word, I'm going to ask my fellow panelists now, turn on your videos. So let's see you. Hopefully you're coming online, and we'll start seeing you in a minute, popping on so we can have our conversation. And here we go. Guys, let's see ya. Still waiting for you to join. Hello, you guys turning up? Up.
We're here.
Yep, I hear you, but I don't see you yet. Hold on for a second. You there? And
we can see each other.
Right now it's just me. There we go. All right, now we go. I don't think that was you guys. I think that was a GoToWebinar thing. So I apologize, but thank you very much all for you guys for joining us. And well, let's get into it. So my first panelist, Stewie Kinderov, is the Chief Product and Technology Officer at Plastiq. Stewie, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about what you do at Plastiq.
Yeah, thank you, Gene. Really great to be here. As a Chief Product and Technology Officer at Plastiq, I look to develop a portfolio of products that help small businesses succeed and grow. And that includes our core product around credit card payments and some new products that I'm excited to talk about.
Got it. So is it product development that you work on? Like, are you a tech guy, or are you also putting together partnerships with other companies?
I'm a mix of both. I'm a technologist who has spent the last 25 years of my career in really building products, thinking about product roadmaps, working with customers to figure out what the problems are that are worth solving. So I guide the product organization and execute with the technology organization and design on the roadmaps.
Got it. Okay, great. And sorry, where are you based out of?
I'm in beautiful San Francisco.
Ah, the lockdown San Francisco. We're having this conversation in January.
They just lifted it. They just lifted it.
That is good to hear. Yeah, again, people are going to be watching this conversation months from now, wondering what we're talking. Well, actually, probably not wondering what we're talking about, but don't even want to know anymore about what the situation that's been going on now. But hopefully, there are some green shoots on the horizon. So, Stewie, thank you. Glad you're here. Matt Baker, you're next. You're the head of small business in the U.S. for Visa. So tell us what that job entails.
Sure. Yeah. So great to be here. Thanks very much for the opportunity. So my job really is to work with our existing and new issuers within the small business ecosystem to really help small businesses thrive. I guess would be a very, very simple way of putting it. So we work with developing and delivering products, developing and delivering the platforms, and I guess more pertinent to this conversation here is developing and delivering on the partnership opportunities that we foresee that are really going to help small businesses, start up, small businesses grow, and small businesses really thrive as well. And you know, as you mentioned, Gene, you know, no more is it it's no more important than it has been in the past, but it's perhaps even been accentuated in the past few, you know, 6 to 9 months, is why it really is important that we, within the ecosystem, as almost custodians of that of the ecosystem, we do look to help our small businesses, you know, grow and thrive as much as we can right now.
Yeah, it couldn't be more of an important topic right now. And you know, Visa's in the middle of all of this, right? I mean, you process, you just millions of customers that you have that you serve to help them with, with credit card applications and many other types of applications as well. So I guess part of your job, you're looking for partners like Plastiq that can better integrate in with what Visa offers to provide those kinds of, help to small businesses. Is that a good way to describe it?
Absolutely. Yeah, we know we can't be all things to all people, and we know there are some, the fantastic products out there that Visa, can only support. So yeah, our job is really to identify those and help them, come to market and provide those clients, provide those solutions to our end customers via our clients.
Got it. Okay, great. Grace, you're up next. So you're Greystone. You own Peach Bum Fitness in Austin, Texas, the beautiful Austin, Texas, where your rent has probably tripled in the past 2 years, because I think everybody is moving to that area. Tell us a little bit about your business. When did you start it?
So I guess at its inception, probably about a year and a half ago.
Cool.
And when thinking about and creating the concept for Peach Bum, it initially came about just through identifying a gap in the fitness market for a studio that's specifically marketed to women. And I tried out so many different studios and gyms where I live in Austin, and I saw that there were two main problems that I set out to solve. And one was that in the larger gyms, the branding, the environment is very masculinized and especially male dominated in the free weights area, which many women, including myself, can find intimidating or uncomfortable at times. And then second, in the smaller studios that are typically, they attract more women, like yoga, Pilates, bar, things like that. I found the demographic to be older, the workouts slower, and not very focused on delivering strong physical results. So the idea with Peach Bum is that every detail, from the look and feel of the studio to the classes that we offer to the music that we play, is engineered to cater to young women in a fun and non-intimidating way. And we've developed 3 class concepts that I believe are perfect for every skill level, and will deliver a unique fitness experience that doesn't exist in the market today.
I love it. First of all, and guys, by the way, if you're, for my panelists and for anybody who's watching this, I kind of noticed GoToWebinar went out for a little bit. I don't know if you noticed that, you disappeared from my screen and then you came back. So I don't know if that's a connection issue or not, but just if that happens, keep talking, because you can hear the audio well, and then eventually does recover. Okay. Hey, Grace, so do you have a physical location right now in Austin?
Yes, so we do have a physical location, and we are just in the final stages of construction. So we are set to open in mid to late February, and it's very exciting. It's been a long road from starting from an idea, just a concept, to working with architects, working with marketing firms, building this whole idea into a physical product or service that we can deliver eventually to our clients. We do have pre-sale sessions available now at a discounted rate, but yeah, we're anticipating opening here in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So we're in crunch time.
Yeah, I'm really impressed, and I have a million questions for you about this business, but it's kind of off topic what we want to talk about now. But I just have to ask you that one question that just is in the middle of COVID right now in Texas. Is there any limitation on fitness centers operating, or do you expect that when you do open and you start taking in customers and clients, it's full board, everybody can come in and do their thing?
So it is kind of dependent upon the studio. In regards to the fitness industry, I've heard of studios who, for instance, you are required to wear a mask when you come inside, but then whenever you get to your mat, you're allowed to take it off. Other studios are more strict and say you have to, wear a mask the entire time that you're working out. I think when we start, we're going to space out the classes like an hour in between each class, so we have adequate time to sanitize all the equipment, make sure everything's safe. I think for our company, we're going to just go with the rule of you must keep your mask on whenever you're working out at all times. And I've done all of our workouts with a mask on multiple times, and it really isn't an issue. I'm not a fitness guru. I'm not anything like that, but
Right.
I didn't find any difficulty in doing that. And hopefully the restrictions do ease up maybe later on in this year, because I know that can be uncomfortable for some people. But
Sure.
to be fair, at a lot of the bigger gyms, like for instance, Gold's, they require everyone to wear a mask when using their machinery and their equipment. And most people don't have a problem with that, doing like intense cardio workouts wearing a mask. So
Sure.
we're just going to play it on the safe side and have everyone wear a mask.
All right, fair enough. All right, so to the topic at hand, which is Plastiq. So, Stoyan, right now you're the man of the hour because you actually work at Plastiq. So, again, for people that are watching this right now that are really unfamiliar with what Plastiq is, here's your chance. Tell us what Plastiq does. Tell us what the benefits are. And tell us why you think many small business owners like Grace, for example, can benefit from a technology like this.
Gene, Plastiq is really a payments and a cash flow enablement platform for small businesses. What that means is, and what makes us special is that we saw how small businesses are very often struggling to pay their vendors because cash is tied up in some other contracts or in some other orders, and they can't serve the next customers. And we thought, why don't we enable such businesses to use their credit cards with existing credit lines to pay those vendors, even if the vendors don't accept credit cards, and thereby extend their cash flow. So that's what we're known for, and we've been helping now hundreds of thousands of small businesses in America and Canada to transact with vendors who don't accept credit cards by choice. And we've helped many businesses, like I think Grace's business, to actually get off the ground, start growing, scale up. All of those things become possible when a small business adopts Plastiq as one of their payments tool, if not the main payments tool.
Got it. So let me just make sure that I have this completely correct. So as a business owner myself, if I am going to we buy software from other companies, like we contract, so if I was going to buy some software from a vendor and they don't accept credit cards, and whether this was $1,000 purchase or a $10,000 purchase, they don't accept credit cards. So I have to arrange for a wire transfer from the bank, or electronic payment, or literally write them a check like it's 1990. What you're saying is that even if they don't accept credit cards, I can use my credit card, and basically I'm paying you, Plastiq, who then facilitates the payment. How does that work exactly? What does that mean? Like I have a Visa card and I make my payment to you. What happens?
Correct. So with that Visa card in hand, you would come to Plastiq, Gene, and you would tell us who you want to pay with
Right.
the card and how much money you want to pay. And then we are going to execute that payment. We're going to charge your card. We will assess a small fee for Plastiq's service, and then we'll send your vendor, that software vendor of yours, we're going to send them either a wire or an ACH, electronic bank transfer, or we'll send them a paper check, and we can overnight that paper check for you. It's really convenient. It's online. For you, it looks like you're paying the vendor just like a regular credit card payment would work on the internet, except now you paid somebody who does not accept credit cards.
Got it. So what is, there seems to be a lot of benefits for doing this. There's a cost. I mean, there's a fee that Plastiq charges. So how do you persuade customers that want to use your service that this is worth it for the fee that you charge?
Yeah, great question. So luckily, a lot of our customers don't even ask that question because they've already made the math in their heads that getting a small business loan either is impossible or will take much longer, or at the rate for which they qualify, it won't actually be cheaper.
Right.
And you just need to make a payment right now. And our standard rate of 2.85% on the payment is within range for a short-term loan or for, let's say, a growth-oriented loan with less security. So people have made that math in their head.
Right.
And it's also good to know that in many cases, a business can write off the 2.85% off of their taxes. Obviously, I'm not a tax advisor, so a business should consult with their tax attorneys, but that's what our clients do.
Got it. So Matt, if I turn to you, I mean, first of all, if I'm using my Visa card and I pay off the balance that month, I'm not incurring any interest on that amount that's outstanding. So Matt, what other? I mean, you saw that there are benefits in partnering with a company like Plastiq because there seems to be a lot of common things that can be done good for a business owner. What drew you to Plastiq? Why did you decide? As a company as large as Visa to go into partnership with a company like Plastiq?
Yeah, so there's kind of, I guess there's sort of three parts to that answer, Gene. The first one is why do we partner overall? As I mentioned to you before, we can't be all things to all people, so we have to look and augment our solutions with partnerships. So I think we kind of covered that one. The other element to us, our overall strategic priorities within small business and within the US, and in fact even globally, are that we're looking to find more flows, cardable flows, so putting more and more payments onto a credit card or onto a kind of payment vehicle, a business card, because there are advantages of killing off checks and killing off cash as much as we can. So there's obviously strategic priorities in terms of us wanting to put more payments onto a card, and with the Plastiq example, as was just mentioned, this is one of the opportunities that we have. But perhaps the most important part to it, really, in all honesty, Gene, is that, as I mentioned right at the beginning, we're aiming to solve problems that small businesses face. And
right.
One of the biggest problems they face, as you've mentioned, as everyone's mentioned, is cash flow. But not only is it finding opportunities to save or to provide better cash flow and better working capital opportunities, but it's actually being able to provide working capital opportunities in a speedy through a speedy process, through one that's easy for a small business owner to implement, easy for them to understand, and easy for them to then execute upon. And the Plastiq example is, the Plastiq partnership ticks all of those boxes. And we do know that small businesses, they really do face the challenges of cash flow. And again, it's been accentuated in the past 9 months. We're seeing that 50% of small businesses now are worried about cash flow. But if they do have an opportunity, if they do want to borrow, as was mentioned earlier, it takes time for them to go to a bank. It takes time for them to put in the application process. It takes time for them to get approved, and then it takes time for them to draw down on that money, by which time the opportunity may well have gone. So if it's, if they want to, maybe if they've got an opportunity to put down a payment on a new lease, and they need to put it down, let's say within 7 days, if they have to go through the application process, then it will take too long, and they might miss that opportunity.
I know, don't you feel sometimes that there's like this misperception about credit cards with businesses? I mean, like you just said, it takes a long time to get loans approved. There are online lenders, but their interest rates some of them are just unbelievably high. Credit cards are, for many businesses, a lot more, accessible. A lot of businesses do have them. And historically, business owners have used credit cards to provide financing for their businesses. And some people will be like, oh my gosh, don't do that. Interest rates are too high, or that's other. But I don't know if that's necessarily true. I mean, don't you find yourself, Matt, educating your customers, your small business customers, that using Visa is, as long as you use it the right way and manage it the right way. Obviously, you don't overextend yourself. You make sure that you can maintenance the debt that's out there, and then leverage technologies like Plastiq. Don't you feel like it not only remains a viable way of accessing financing, but will continue to be, and in fact become a bigger way for businesses to finance themselves?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's a balancing act for sure, Gene. I mean, you have the need for credit, and as I said, you need for credit quickly, but you don't necessarily want to get the small business in, I guess, really that debt spiral whereby they're borrowing to fund, repayments on their existing debt. So it is a fine balance, and I think you summed it up very well. Look, digital payments are here to stay, and it's as I mentioned before, it's just amazing how much we've seen the accentuation and the growth of digital payments in the past 6 to 9 months. But of course, the one thing I think we also need to emphasize is that small businesses, when they set up their business, they might not necessarily have that financial acumen. They might not necessarily understand the need to manage cash flow and the need to manage their accounts payable and their accounts receivable. The beauty of a credit card is that everyone kind of gets it already. They already understand that, and so that step from from moving from a consumer to a small business isn't necessarily as great a leap as if you maybe have to talk to them about other debt instruments that they might be able to leverage during their time as a small business owner.
Grace, don't you feel that way? I mean, you're not literally, you didn't fall off the turnip truck yesterday. You have got, you built this little business, you started it up. I mean, you know a thing or two about managing your cash. You don't seem to be concerned about using credit cards in your business and to leverage, the lines of credit that they provide. Do you have any, what attracted you to expanding that use by using like a product like Plastiq?
Well, honestly, it came out of just a real, I guess, need for immediate payments to be made. So whenever I started the business, we had all these upfront costs that I had to pay. I did have, quite a bit of savings. I'd worked for a few years in a typical, office job. In addition to, I had other part-time jobs at the time too. So I was working really hard to just build my savings. I had excellent.
By the way, I hate to interrupt you on that, but I was literally going to ask you where you got the capital to start up the business, and that was going to just send us down another, road of conversation. But now you've answered that, so you did build up savings.
I had been working, honestly, multiple jobs at a time since the age of 16. Right. So I always knew that savings was hugely important. And even as a young person, I knew I wanted to start a business, but I knew that having like a safety net of accessible cash was important. I also, however, knew that building good, excellent credit was of the utmost importance. At that time, I wasn't aware of Plastiq and I wasn't aware of the power that it holds. But I was just thinking in my mind, if I'm going to start a business in the next few years, once I come up with this great idea, I'm going to go the traditional route that most people take, which is to go to a bank, go to a credit union and say, hey, I have this idea, I need much in funding, will you please approve the loan? And that was the route that I initially took. But I found, like, to my surprise, that I was being denied, and it was usually because of the credit age or because it was a startup business. They're usually hesitant to lend money to a startup business if you don't have like existing revenue to show that it's already successful. So I knew at the same time that I also had several high limit credit cards, and I was thinking to myself, how could I leverage these credit lines that I have in order to finance these initial startup costs? So I just started Googling and doing a little bit of research, and I found Plastiq, and I was able to fill out all the information and use it to pay some of my initial startup costs, which were quite significant. I was able to use a lot of my savings. I didn't want to fully deplete that yet, but it was a good way to pay contractors, to pay engineers, architects that I couldn't normally with a credit card, and I was amazed by it.
Hold on that thought. So I'm kind of curious about some of those startup costs. So you just mentioned that you were paying some contractors, right, using the credit card. Now it's unusual for a contractor, somebody's going to come in and fit out your retail space to accept a credit card. A lot of those people don't. In fact, a lot of them only want cash, let alone maybe a check. So did you use, because of Plastiq, were you able to say, hey, listen, I'm gonna arrange, I'm gonna pay with my credit card, but you're gonna get a payment from this company? Is that what you did, and did that help?
Yeah, it certainly helped. I mean, they were pretty explicit. It depended on the contractor. Some of them wanted ACH, wire, checks. Most of them, like you said, weren't explicit in having like, here's a payment portal where you can enter your credit card details and pay the invoice. So I just kind of did a workaround, found Plastiq, and entered their bank details and had an ACH sent to them in 3 days, but it was charged to my credit card. I didn't necessarily disclose that information, but that was how I facilitated.
They don't care. They don't care. That's if they're getting their money, they're getting their money.
It was fine, and it was money that like I felt I was entitled to. I mean, this was credit that I had earned. This was something that I felt like I was essentially lending myself my own money. So that is how I pretty much handled the initial startup costs.
How did you feel about, because I'm sorry I don't want to belabor this, but let's face it, everybody asks about this. So there's fees involved. So, you know, I talk to a lot of clients like, oh, it's a 2.8% fee, forget it, I'm not gonna, whatever. And to me, that's, you know, quite short-sighted in a lot of cases. What are your thoughts on fees?
To be honest, the fees never really bothered me at all because of the convenience of the platform, and it solved an immediate need that I had. I needed to pay, for instance, this architect like $25,000 and he needs it by this deadline.
Right.
I don't want to use my savings to make that payment, or I don't have access to that amount of cash at that time, but I do have access to it in the form of a line of credit. So that immediate need to me, and Plastiq fulfilling that need, offset any sort of fee worry that I had. Plus, again, when compared with traditional bank loans or any sort of loan, there's always going to be interest involved. So as long as I was diligent about making credit card payments, using them responsibly, all of those great things, the fee to me was really negligible in the end.
Powerful. It really is powerful. All right, Matt, I'm going to put you on the spot here. So you've got, you know, a young startup business owner who's been using her credit cards to finance her business, and you've been in this business for a long time. What advice do you have for startup business owners that are using their credit cards to you know, sort of not make any mistakes or to manage their credit cards correctly? You know what I mean? Like, what would you tell them so that they're always good long-term customers of Visa and not getting into any trouble?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's a great question. For me, it's a number of things, and that would be, first of all, try and understand your payments that are coming in, to try and maximize that. So try and get paid as soon as possible, and then try and extend your payables, i.e. the money that you owe to, you know, in Grace's point, you owe to your suppliers as much as you can. So the more that you can extend out that working capital cycle, the more advantageous that is because the money will sit in your account for longer, or the money will be able to be used for then paying your suppliers. And one of those tools, of course, is the interest-free days available on most credit cards, whereby you can buy now and then effectively pay later, and that extends your cash flow cycle and extends your working capital cycle. To Grace's point, you know, the fees, of course, you know, are there, but it's important to understand that you know, that those there's a reason for those fees, and you know, we know the reason for that is because effectively, you know, you are borrowing in some form or another. But the point to kind of accentuate just on what Grace mentioned is really to think about what's the opportunity cost of not being able to pay your supplier. So what's the opportunity cost of not being able to pay for your lease, or you know, even some of your employees as well? All of, you know, the Plastiq platform is a fantastic platform because you are able to make payments, and if you can't, let's say, make payments to your supplier, well, they might not supply you with the goods next time or the services next time, and what impact will that have downstream in your ability to earn money from that particular investment? So, you know, some of the other examples I've you know, ruminated, and before I worked in the US, I worked in Asia Pacific, and some of the use cases that we saw there with a similar model to Plastiq is that, you know, there'll be times when a small business might have the opportunity to buy some inventory on the cheap, i.e., you know, they've just got an opportunity to buy some inventory, got some opportunity to buy some supplies for their business, and they need to buy it now. And if they don't buy it now, someone else will, or one of their competitors will, or they won't, you know, they'll miss the opportunity. And the Plastiq platform and other platforms I saw in AP, they were able to do similar things whereby you can just buy it now, and then you can use that inventory to then make more money. So it's just important to really look to try and understand that cash flow cycle as best you can and where you can make advantages with these types of tools.
All right, that's great advice. And Storian, before I give you final word, Grace, I just got to ask you, you're using your credit card for a lot of big purchases. You must be racking up the points. Am I correct?
Yes, especially with Visa, I have the Sapphire card. So I've been able to offset, again, when talking about the fees, when I think about the travel benefits that I've received,
Yeah.
you know, being able to pay with points for uncertain online platforms. So there's huge benefits, especially if you do have those high limit, like level Visa cards. It's definitely worth it, especially if you pay off the
Right.
balance monthly and are just responsible with it. The benefits to using credit cards, I feel like more young people should understand. I feel like it's kind of stigmatized, or it's like, oh, you're just, you know, people get into debt. It's like the reason you get into debt is because you're not using them responsibly. And I think obviously Plastiq offers a way to help businesses grow and pay off large purchases, large invoices. But if you're just responsible with it, you can benefit, and your business can benefit greatly. Yeah, especially with those rewards. Those are great.
Yeah, it's what people sometimes don't realize is that we live in a capitalist society, and if you want to start up a business and grow a business, you need capital, and the capital only comes in two forms. It's either debt or equity.
Yes.
So, and you're using a combination of both. You had savings, so
Yes.
that's the best mix. But I don't know, you look at any successful company in the world, and they use debt to finance their business. I mean, they try to minimize the risk and make sure they can maintain the debt, but there's no stigma against it. And listen, if you were Apple, you could go to large investment bankers and arrange for financing, but you're not. You're Grace, and you're just starting up this business, and you're financing off of credit cards and whatnot. And I also like the point that you also made that even when you're starting up a business, getting financing traditional ways is difficult. So, but the more you can show that you have credit availability and you've got a good credit history and you build that history, then yeah, as you grow and you build a chain of your fitness centers around Austin, you'll eventually make it into a traditional financing world, and you'll have a great history that will help you get the financing. So that's great. Storian, I'm going to leave you with this. I promised that we would only be like 20 to 30 minutes, and already I'm breaking that promise. So I just I'd like your final words. You're in the fintech space now. You're seeing the kind of power that a Plastiq can bring to to a small business owner. Where do you think this is all going? I mean, how do you envision Plastiq being a few years from now? What other opportunities do you think this will open up?
Fantastic question. As a small business owner, you are cobbling together all of your payments means on daily basis. You have a cash account, maybe here, checking account, you have another savings account there, you have maybe a loan, you have a few credit cards. And we consumers have solved the problem of having visibility into all of our payments instruments and methods by having one wallet, right? Everybody carries a wallet, all the instruments are there. We have a good system in mind, a simple system of what to use when. The problem is compounded when you're a small business, Gene. You have to make choices between credit lines, target dates on loans, lines of credits, cash in, cash out. You have a lot more flows in and flows out of that non-existent wallet. So we said,
right,
wouldn't it be wonderful if one day all small businesses had a digital wallet of kinds? We're not calling it wallet yet, but that's what it would become, where all the money in and money out would be matched and accounted for and reconciled with other systems, where a business owner can immediately make a choice to pay some of the amounts in cash, some of the amounts in credit, and maybe combine the two and still have a vendor receive one payment, where a small business can account for all of the money movements and reconcile it for tax time and for cash flow visibility.
Sure.
And never miss payment dates, never upset vendors. Vendors are super important for small businesses. They have choices too. And both cut time on making payments because it costs hours every week to write checks and send wires to vendors and suppliers, as well as keep accurate account of how much cash is coming in and keep the business liquid. We think this wallet will come together. We think we're going to be probably one of the best and first wallets, because that's how we conceived the product and that's where we're driving it roadmap wise. We added some exciting features this year, like for example, many of our customers said, look great, love Plastiq for the ability to expand my cash flow and use credit cards, but also have this many checks that I need to write by hand. Takes me hours. I hate that. I gotta run to the post box to deposit them. Can you combine cash payments, my cash payments with my credit payments in one place? And we did that. We just launched a very beautiful, very simple solution to make cash payments, and we're happy that Peach Bum Fitness is one of our first customers of that feature. And we added a ton of other features to the product, like for example, a wonderful real-time integration with QuickBooks, so that a business doesn't have to swivel chair and spend time making the payment, then accounting for the payment on the other side in their accounting system. It all happens in real time, and it happens with high precision. So we're excited about that. We have hundreds of customers using this feature, and it just recently launched. And we're not going to stop here. There's more things we are integrating with. There's more forms of cash that our small businesses are using that we want to make available in the Plastiq one place to pay wallet.
That is great. It's a great insight. And by the way, just my final thoughts, which I kind of really agree with you on that, is we'll see a continuing integration and melding between all these types of fintech technologies and accounting systems. And as a CPA, I just, I feel that, all financial lenders and companies, financial services firms, even like Visa, Matt, will, in my opinion, will be offering accounting applications in the future that will just make it more seamless and more easier. Because right now, Grace, you're doing your transactions the way you are. You still have to make sure that it gets into your accounting system, and and the bookkeeping gets done, and all its extra steps. And I think a lot of that will be seamless in the end. Guys, I want to thank you all for joining me. Stewie Kinderov, he's the Chief Product and Technology Officer at Plastiq. Great advice and great information. Stewie, and I appreciate what you brought. Matt Baker, head of small business here in the U.S. for Visa, and Grace Stone, who is the owner of Peach Bum Fitness in Austin, Texas. It's peachbum.com, right? PEACHBUM.com. Grace, best of luck with your business. I'm sure you'll be very successful. My name is Gene Marks. Guys, again, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to end this webinar, and for all your audience members, you're going to see this end, and for you guys, you're just going to see this end and go away. But I'll email you afterwards a thank you as well, because you were all three great. So I appreciate your time, and we'll sign off now. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Gene. Thank you.
Yep.